Well, I think this might. Okay, it is working. I grew up dancing this song, and the reason why I picked it is because I wanted to tell you all a little bit about myself and kind of this weird job that I got. So, when I first came into Vanta, it was a role called founder in residence. It was a 9-month role, and all of y'all, I think, most of y'all, have come up through the business background, business operations, business systems, and now sort of learning to become engineers. And I think I took the complete opposite path. I started my career as an ML researcher, then became a software engineer, had a crypto security company, and then ended up at Vanta in this job called founder in residence. When I first came in, my boss was like, "Oh, here's this AI thing. Can you use it to grow our revenue without growing headcount?" And we'd hired, Vanta's doubling every year. We'd hired over 100 SDRs last year. So we really wanted to decouple our revenue growth from our headcount growth. The challenge was I had come up from engineering, product, and design. I did not understand the world of RevOps. So for me, I was kind of where do I start? There's CSMs, RevOps, SDRs, forecast. You could go through. I had to learn everything. I had to learn what post-sales was, what pre-sales was. And it was a mess. I got a little bit lucky though, because our founder and CEO Christina, who posted the job originally, was aware of that. She was before she started Vanta, she didn't realize, because she had come up through the product org as well. She didn't realize there's so much to learn. And so for me, I had a little bit of a cover, but I still also had 9 months to kind of figure out how to use this AI thing, and that's where the challenge began. So I was like, what do I actually build? And originally I thought there wouldn't be enough ideas, but there were almost too many ideas. Leadership was talking about building AI SDRs and building quarterly business reviews and God knows what. And then every rep had their own idea that they were slacking me about. And I was like, okay, this is way too much. This is way too crazy. So let's figure out which idea is worth investing in. And I'm sure a lot of RevOps leaders are feeling this way right now because everybody has great AI ideas throughout the org. And at least I was first of all, I got to learn this thing and then figure out what do I actually build and then kind of save my job. So we decided, okay, let's focus on 3 pillars. We wanted to eliminate busy work, which would, stuff that people have talked about today, do rep ride-alongs, figure out where they're wasting or spending their time inefficiently, figure out what our best plays are. We wanted to scale the best plays and see, okay, how do we scale them across the org? But the last piece was where it was most interesting. I was new, and I needed ideas. And I was like, why don't we just crowdsource them? And then even if we did crowdsource them, how do we know which ones are worth investing in? So my solution there was let's make every rep an engineer. Easy. So the plan was simple. It was make it easy for everyone to build agents, spread their prototypes, hype them up, see which ones gain traction, measure the usage, and then harden and productionize. It was not easy. It was not easy at all. But let me show you what we did. So here's what we'll cover. We'll cover what we did, how it completely fell apart, what made it work, which were really the data foundations where we spent a lot of time, what came out, the things that agents built, things that reps built, and some of the gotchas and key recommendations if you want to take it back with you. So what we did is we bought a tool called Dust. If you're not familiar with Dust, it's a combination of Zapier and ChatGPT. It hooks into all of your internal tools. And one of the most controversial decisions we made was we said, let's roll it to the entire company. Vanta, for context, is we sell SOC 2 compliance. Now I'm supposed to say we sell much more than that. We sell a lot of different compliance tools, but it's 1,500 people. 1,346 people use Dust, 933 monthly actives, as in almost 64% of the company has used it in the last month. This is not meant to be a Dust advertisement, but the key point that I want you to take away from this is we just said, let's give everybody access, because we don't know where the best ideas are going to come from. We don't know who our builders are. We don't know who our early adopters are. And when we did this, the reps really built things we did not predict. Some of the stuff we did predict. You know, there was like AI SDR, which everybody's talked about, account research, prioritization, message drafting, et cetera. There was support, Copilot. People started monitoring competitors. There's an entire team that decided to just build agents monitoring our competitors. And we even got some like non-GTM use cases. Like we auto-generate our job descriptions now, our hiring guides, who needs to be on the interview loop, et cetera, all through AI. But the most surprising one to me, and we talked about this, we heard about this in the Samsara talk, I think, was CSMs. So like post-sales have historically been almost ignored by RevOps, I think, or at least when I got in as an outsider, I was like, oh, post-sales like really gets no love. But our CSMs were now all of a sudden empowered by this like agent building tool. So they built like risk scoring, health, gong mining. They went back and looked at all the gong calls and said like, who wanted to buy something in Q2? And I'm gonna go like pitch them the thing that they said in like Q1 that they were gonna buy. So all of this stuff was so interesting that we decided to get it together and harden it, and now we're building our own internal CSP on the backs of these agents, which is like super, super interesting that I never thought of a project we would do. But there were downsides. It was a management nightmare. There was tons of overlapping agents. People were building the same. Of course, you empower, you give everybody, you know, like a hammer, they start building the same stuff. And there was no output consistency. One of the craziest things that came from this is we would assign our reps books, saying like, these are your tier 1 books, and we did a lot of work on like, you know, ICP scoring, intent scoring, et cetera. We'd say like, these are your tier 1 books, these are your tier 2 books, and the reps would take the books, upload them. This is exactly what would happen. Upload them onto Dust, and Dust would obviously give them a different answer for what their tier 1 was. And they would come back to the RevOps team and be like, hey, you assigned us the wrong books. And so all of this happened, but you know, some agents really did spread like wildfire. So we had to build guardrails. And this particular agent, the one where they were telling us that we were giving them wrong books, really did spread. So here's the things that actually made it work. We spent a lot of time building custom MCPs on top of all the data sources that we have. Who here is familiar with MCPs? All right, everybody, this is great. So we used MCPs as a way to restrict data access. We said like the salespeople should not really have access to the CRO's calls, for example, right? So we had to build individual MCPs to say like, okay, these are what plugs into the agents, and now your agents can get access to whatever they need. The second thing we did is we spent a lot of time on our semantic layer. What an ARR means to a finance person is very different than ARR to a revenue person. So we had to spend a lot of time building our data foundation there. The second thing we did is we really tried to foster a builder culture. Our CRO, Stevie Case, would do these weekly shout-outs for like, and we'd bring these builders, they would come to present at all hands, this really cool new thing that they did. And that really like helped them like gain you know, trust and respect of the people, of their peers. And then we monitor adoption. So we'd take a look at the winners, and then we'd start to harden them. And then Dust basically became our discovery engine. And you can use any tool here, like, you know, Claude Code, like insert the agent building Zapier, insert agent building tool here. The idea is you give everybody access, you build guardrails around it, and then once we notice high usage, it goes to go-to-market engineering, which is my team, and then we go and build production assets from it. So here's your key takeaways. You know, when I first got into this job, like I said, it was a 9-month role. It's no longer a 9-month role. Now we're building a whole team. I have a real job, but I really thought I would get fired. And you know, Jen knows about this. We actually had a conversation very shortly after I started. And the reason why partly why I was able to keep my job was on the backs of all the reps that gave us these great ideas, that built these great tools. And you know, some of them are used like we hardened one of them called QBR automation. It's used like 1,500 times. Keep in mind, Vanta is only like 300 reps, so like almost every rep has been using it for twice a day. Those are the things that helped us like actually convert it into a full team. So your sellers are hungry. We want to empower them. Watch for patterns. But the last thing we want to do is we really want to put trust in our org, build a culture where you can celebrate the builders. And that's really what I have for you today.